How much time do you spend stuck in mom guilt? It's the worst. By the end of this video, you know how to get yourself right out of that with a simple process you can use over and over again anytime you need. If you want the best advice about how to live a calm, authentic life, follow me. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified. I post a new video every week. I'm a life coach who helps busy, overwhelmed moms create a more simple, calm life for themselves. And you can bet that mom guilt is a topic we always address. I'm an expert in this area and I can't wait to teach you too. Okay, let's just say you're having a bout of mom guilt. Let's say maybe you feel like you've worked too many hours this week, or you're missing a game or a play or something because you're out of town for a work trip, or you're at home with your kids at night or your family and you're on your phone trying to quickly answer some emails and you start feeling this mom guilt coming up. Whatever kind of mom guilt you're experiencing, either one of those three things or some other version of it, I'm going to teach you a process for how to work through it. Okay, the process I'm going to teach you is pretty simple. It's just 3 steps. The first step is to pause and notice what the actual thought in your mind is when you have a bout of that yucky mom guilt feeling. So stop and see, is it something like, I am just not with my kids enough, or I'm failing as a mom, or other moms can just do this better than I can, or other moms have this whole work-life balance thing down and I'm the only one who's struggling with it. By the way, everyone has that thought. We always think about other people. For some reason, we always think other people have got it down and we're the only ones missing out. It's not true. I'm here to tell you it's not true. Get out a piece of paper and a pen and just write down what your version of mom guilt thought is. So what exactly are you thinking in that moment when you're feeling guilty? Okay, I have a question for you guys. How often are you feeling this mom guilt? Is this something you notice once a week, once a day, once an hour? I know when I was at the peak of my working mom guilt, it felt just like it was sort of always present. It was just various levels, but it was kind of always there with me. So tell me how often you're feeling it right now. Just comment below. Okay, so now you should have your guilty thought written down. What's the thought that you're having that's causing you to feel so guilty? And we're going to move on to step 2, which is considering that thought. So think about that thought and decide what part of it is true, if any. So if we use the thought, all other moms can manage this being this whole work-life balance thing, but not me. Let's ask ourselves, is that really true? Do we really have any idea what's going on in another mom's household? We do not. We can see their Facebook feed, which sometimes gives us the wrong message. And maybe it looks like everything's okay, but chances are she's probably struggling just as much as you are. That thought also makes the assumption, if you think everyone else is doing this right and I'm not, it makes the assumption that you're not doing enough. Question that, is that really true? Do your kids know they're loved? Do they have the basic necessities in life? Are you doing many things right and just focusing on the one thing that you perceive is wrong? When you can take a minute and really look into this statement and ask if it's true, a lot of times what our brain does is just throw out a dramatic generalization, and when we look at it, we find that it's really not true. After you evaluate if your thought is true, that brings us to step 3. Step 3 is decide what to do with that thought. So in step 1, we identified what the thought was. In step 2, we considered if the thought was true. And in step 3, we're going to decide, do we want to keep this thought? Does the thought serve you in any way? Does it help you be a better mom? Does it help you feel better about yourself? If we go with the example that I'm using, that I'm doing this wrong and all the other moms are doing it right, it doesn't help me. It doesn't serve me. It makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel worse. It makes me feel like a bad mom. There's no value for me to keep that thought. Now, a tricky thought that sometimes comes up is people will say, well, it motivates me to try to be a better mom. I would question that too. I do not agree with that. I think that if you're shaming yourself to try to motivate yourself, it doesn't work. Making yourself feel like crap is not going to make you a better mom. Making yourself feel off the hook and like you're doing a good job is going to make you a better mom. It's going to make you much more present with your kids. So go through those questions I just said and decide if this thought is a thought that you want to keep. At this point, you decide if you want to keep that old thought or choose a new thought. I'm going to guess you're going to choose a new thought, because if you wanted to keep that old thought, you wouldn't be watching this video. You'd be stuck in your mom guilt forever. So the key to picking a new thought to think is that it must also feel true. You can't go too far in the other direction. So if I come up with a thought like, I'm the most amazing mom on the planet, and my children are the best in the whole wide world, that also won't work, because you know in your heart of hearts that's not true. Or maybe that is true for you. That's not true for me. Instead, you want to find a thought that is better than the original one, but also feels true. So something like, I love my children and they love me. I'm working every day towards having a more balanced life. Today, I'm going to be present when I'm with my children. It's sometimes hard to balance everything, but I'm trying. You can come up with any thought that you want as long as it feels true and it makes you feel better than the original thought did. Okay, so here's the important part, which is how to actually do this. So you know that original thought you had, the one of, I'm doing it wrong and all the other moms are doing it right, that thought will come back into your brain. And we can't control that, and we don't have to sweat that. What we just need to do is recognize when you've had that thought. So let's just say I'm driving home after a long day of work, and I notice myself thinking, all of a sudden I start feeling guilty, and I notice that I've thought the thought, oh, why can't I do this as well as all the other moms? Okay, there's your win. Your winning moment is when you notice that you've had that old thought, and then you just simply replace it with your new thought. So I'm going to choose, my children love me and I love them, period. I keep driving. I feel better. When I get home, I'm more present with my family. So now you've got the whole process down. You pause, you figure out exactly what your thought is. You consider the thought. Is it true? Is it helpful? And then 3, you replace the thought. Just know that it might take you a couple tries to catch and replace that thought, which is not a problem. So don't judge yourself. Your brain is just slowly learning to replace an old pattern with a new pattern. So if the old thought keeps coming up and you miss it, it's okay. It's not a problem. Just try to catch it the next time. You will get it eventually. If you're interested in learning more about this, I coach moms all day long. This is what I do. If you're interested in working with me directly, click on the link below and set up a free hour with me to learn more about coaching. If you liked this video and you got something out of it, I'd love if you'd hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with your other friends who you think could be suffering from mom guilt. Let's get the word out there that we don't have to feel like this anymore.